Unlike other environmental laws, the Clean Water Act, the Clean Air Act, the Endangered Species Act, which all have what are called citizen suit provisions, which allow individuals, as long as you have standing, to go into federal court and bring a lawsuit on behalf of an animal that's being harmed as a result of illegal activity. The Animal Welfare Act has no citizen suit provision. The only entity that can enforce the Animal Welfare Act is the U.S. Department of Agriculture. That's the only entity that has any authority to bring anyone in compliance with the Animal Welfare Act. And the problem over the years has been that the U.S. Department of Agriculture does not show that it cares about enforcing the statute to protect animals. I suspect what happened was when the Animal Welfare Act was enacted, in terms of you're asking me why there's no citizen suit provision in that statute. When that statute was enacted, there was quite an outcry from particularly the biomedical research industry, which was very much opposed to any new law that was going to interfere with their ability to do biomedical research on animals, including primates. And they lobbied very heavily against the statute being enacted at all. And I suspect that when it was being drafted and winding its way through the congressional process, then any notion that individuals and organizations, particularly animal protection or animal rights organizations, would be able to come into court and sue any of these entities for violating that statute was not looked upon very favorably by that particular lobby as well as others who were against the statute, and probably Congress caved to those wishes and formed some kind of a compromise, which was that we'll just let the Department of Agriculture enforce the statute. But it does stand out as a major weakness in that statute. And again, when you compare it to, if you take the analogy of environmental statutes, which do have those citizen suit provisions, and which in turn, therefore, have become much more successful statutes in terms of protecting the environment because they can be enforced by individuals who use those areas and organizations like the major environmental groups, et cetera, versus the Animal Welfare Act, which basically is just not enforced. And there have been countless reports over the years. The USDA's own Inspector General issued a very scathing report about the lack of enforcement of the Animal Welfare Act by the Department of Agriculture. And I think that this agency tends to see itself, its role really as assisting, helping out the entities that it regulates as opposed to really doing anything to protect animals.